My name's David Thomas. I'm the President and CEO of ClearMountainBank. My main office is in Brewston, but I also have an office in Suncrest, and I bounce around a lot between the branches. You know, our bank enjoys a long, proud and rich history. We've been around for well over 100 years. Our roots go back to two small community banks that were founded in Preston County, one being the Terralta Bank, which I believe was founded in 1891, and the Brewston Bank, which was founded in the early 1900s. Those two banks operated independently for decades. Fast forward to the early 1980s, that's probably the most significant change in terms of those banks branching out, if you will. Prior to that, banks weren't allowed to branch in the state of West Virginia. But once 1982 rolled around and the change in the law allowed branch banking, Brewston Bank at that time took advantage of that opportunity, actually opened a branch in Reedsville on the first day that branches were permitted to operate in West Virginia. So we were kind of on the cutting edge there. And then Brewston Bank continued to do some additional branching into Kingwood, I think next, then over into Monongalia County. And the Terralta Bank also took advantage of the branch banking opportunities. They opened up a branch over in Oakland, Maryland in 1987, I believe. In 2005, the two banks combined. Did that for a couple of reasons. One was for efficiencies, but also as the bank started to branch out into different communities, it made sense to kind of rebrand the bank to have one name that everyone could identify with. And the name ClearMountainBank was chosen, which was an appropriate name for all the communities. From there, the bank continued to grow. Our story really has been one of growth over many, many decades, and that continued after the banks combined under the name ClearMountainBank. We're currently in four counties. We're in Harrison, Monongalia, and Preston in West Virginia, and Garrett County in Maryland. Well, I guess you could say that I've been around the bank my entire life. You know, I've had a lot of family members that have been closely involved with the bank. You know, as I think back on my childhood, my grandfather was chairman of the board. My father worked at the bank for a number of years. My brother was president and CEO of the bank for a number of years, and so in some form or fashion I've always kind of been around the bank, and I guess my generation represents the fourth generation of our family being involved in the bank, and my nephew Chase is now on board, so I guess he represents the fifth generation. So it's kind of in the family, I guess. It's been part of our family for a number of years, and so I guess in some form or fashion I've been around it my entire life. I officially took a position with the bank in 2003 when I became a director. I mentioned that my grandfather was chairman of the board, and he'd served on the board for many, many decades, and I took his seat on the board when he passed away and served on the board for a number of years. Now at that time I was practicing law, so before coming over to my current position I was practicing law locally here in Morgantown, and my primary practice was banking law, so I had the good fortune of working with a number of community banks across the state of West Virginia. I came to my current position as President and CEO in January of 17. My brother, as I mentioned, was the president for a number of years, and unfortunately he passed away in August of 16. And so the board approached me and asked me if I would be interested in coming over and taking on the role of President and CEO. And I did, because it means a lot to me personally, it means a lot to our family, and so that's when I made the transition over to my current role. And so I've been in my current role since January of 2017. My role at the bank really is just to kind of provide general oversight and guidance to make sure that we're running the bank in a safe, sound, and profitable manner. There are a lot of facets to that, and a lot of that involves working very closely with the senior management team. So we have a very talented, very seasoned senior management team. I rely on them a lot to make sure that the various departments of the bank are taken care of, but it's kind of my job to make sure that we have a strategic vision of where we want to get to, and then to try to make sure that we're executing on that strategic plan to accomplish what we want to accomplish. So a second role that I play is working very closely with the board of directors. The board of directors is kind of like my boss. They kind of supervise what I'm doing And so I work very closely with them in terms of providing them with the information that they need to stay informed about what the bank's doing. They obviously help set strategic vision, but rely on me and the rest of the management team to execute that strategic vision. So a second role that I play is to work very closely with the board of directors. A third facet of my job would also be to work with our shareholders. We have between 140 and 150 shareholders at any given time. We're not publicly traded, and so there's it's not like folks can go out to a broker and buy our stock. It's one of the blessings that we have is that we're privately owned and we're not publicly traded. But because of that, we have to kind of serve as that liaison to the shareholders. And so if shareholders have questions, part of my role is to interact with shareholders, share information with them so that they know how the bank's doing. I also serve as kind of the representative of the bank in the community, if you will. So whether it's going to outside organizational events, nonprofit boards, trade associations, interacting with other banks, interacting with regulators, I tend to be the liaison between the bank and outside organizations as well. So what I like most about working at the bank is just the opportunities it gives me to really become involved in the community and to hopefully have an impact on the community that's very positive. So I think our bank is very connected to the communities that we serve. And so whether it's helping a family realize the dream of home ownership by making them their first loan, or helping a small business to get started, or supporting a local nonprofit. We have a lot of opportunities every day to really have a positive impact on our communities, and I think that's what I enjoy the most about it, is just the opportunities it presents to do that. Well, I don't have a lot of personal hobbies like golf or fishing or those kinds of things, but when I do have spare time, I like to spend it with family. I have a wife and 2 kids. And so most of my spare time I spend with them doing family activities. We like to ski, so in the winter, most weekends we're off skiing as a family. In the summer, we like to go out on our pontoon boat at Cheat Lake, and so most of my time away from the bank is spent with my family doing family activities like that. Well, I want to personally welcome you to Clear Mountain Bank. I think that you'll find that this is a very unique and special place. We have a long history that dates back well over 100 years, and we're always trying to grow. We're always trying to make ourselves better. So I certainly welcome any feedback, any questions, any suggestions that you may have. You're going to be hearing from other members of our management team, and I hope that you find that information to be useful. I look forward to meeting you in person, look forward to getting you to sign our book from our Rootstar branches that every new team member signs. And so I look forward to getting to know you and want to just, again, welcome you aboard.